Hi there everybody, on today's wrestling news, legendary wrestling promoter Jarrett passes away at 80 years old.
We've got a major update on Triple H's WrestleMania plans.
We've got the latest on WWE's plans for Sami Zayn.
And there is a brand new role for a former AEW champion. I'm Adam Wilborn.
And I'm Andy Murray.
And this is the news.
We're going to talk about Jarrett to start this thing off. He passed away yesterday at 80 years old. It was broken kind of by Memphis wrestling historian Mark James. PW Insider kind of quoted him or mentioned him in their report, which was one of the first, and Dutch Mantel, who worked with and under Jerry extensively in the Memphis territory and elsewhere throughout his career. He broke it as well. He passed away yesterday, 80 years old. Of course, if you're a younger wrestling fan, you probably know Jerry as Jeff Jarrett's dad, first of all, but also alongside Jeff, one of the co-founders of TNA in 2002. And he started TNA in 2002. It was like May, April, before they sold to Panda Energy in like October, the Jarretts did. But he stayed on management until like 2005-ish. Prior to that, he'd actually looked into the possibility of trying to buy WCW when it was going out of business. Obviously that didn't work out, and Vince ended up buying it, and all of that stuff panned out. But that's probably what younger wrestling fans know Jerry best for. But I mean, really, it's difficult to fully encapsulate his whole legacy, obviously. But his most important work, I think, was probably in the Memphis territory with the Continental Wrestling Association that he founded in the 70s. I mean, if you want like the quintessential bridge between like the territory era and the modern era of pro wrestling, it's there. It's Jerry Jarrett's booking and the various things and bits and bobs he put together in Memphis. It was a promotion, or a group, sorry, a territory that emphasized deep-rooted personal issues and skits over matches sometimes, and like lots of wild, chaotic, arena-wide concourse brawls and these big crazy angles that you didn't really see anywhere else. It kind of brought stuff like that to the forefront in the 70s and the 80s, and like it really shaped the wrestling that we watch today. Of course, he built around like stars like Jerry the King Lawler, who was just the hugest deal in the world in that territory. Legendary feud with like Bill Dundee and stuff. But like, every major star of that era passed through Continental. Your Ric Flairs, your Harley Races, your Jack Briscoes, name them, they showed up there at some point. Monday nights at the Mid-South Coliseum, regularly drawing tens of thousands of fans. A hot group, a hot territory. They dominated Memphis and really foundational in shaping today's wrestling. So it's obviously a really sad situation. There's not been any statements or anything from the family as of yet. But as always, we offer our deepest condolences and sympathies to everybody. He is survived by a wife and 4 children, so those are at the forefront of our thoughts here. But yeah, legendary, revolutionary, generally, like wrestling figure in Jerry Jarrett. And I think today, if you were to go, just hop on YouTube, type in like Continental Wrestling Alliance, type in Memphis Wrestling, just watch some angles and stuff. Like a lot of that stuff really still holds up today, and considering it happened like 30, 40, 50 years ago, that says a lot.
Yeah, not a lot to add really, what you said there, Andy. You're a legend of the business. Another person who, the moment the sad news broke of his passing, you just saw the shockwaves across everyone on social media paying their respects to him. I think it's a great idea to go and look up something like that to celebrate Jerry Jarrett's memory. And just to reiterate, our thoughts and prayers go out to Jerry's friends and family at this very, very difficult time.
Wrestling today does not look like what it currently looks like without Jerry. Like, genuinely, extremely important figure. And if you're like a younger fan who's maybe not as familiar with some of the foundational work he laid, you'll have fun researching and looking into this stuff. Like, it's such an easy time, an easy promotion territory, whatever to revisit. Great fun.
Moving on, let's talk a little bit about WrestleMania. It is less than 2 months away now, of course.
It is.
And according to Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio, things seem to be going according to plan. Dave said almost everything that I've heard months back. There have been changes from months back, but I would say a month back, everything is happening exactly the same as planned. This contrasts, unsurprisingly, with WrestleMania 38 last year when Vince McMahon was still in charge of the creative products as chairman and CEO. Meltzer noted that last year, every single week, there would be something tweaked in some way. Not big changes, but there'd be tweaked stuff. Now there hasn't been. Just sort of, I suppose, reiterating what we all assumed was happening, Andy, in terms of, Triple H has always struck me as someone, even from his time in NXT, that has a long-term vision. Things change, plans change. You have to adapt to injuries or fan reaction or whatever it may be.
Hot, yeah.
But I think if you'd have asked Triple H, let's say at Survivor Series, what his plan for the main events of WrestleMania would be, I think they wouldn't be that different from what they are right now, and it's, I think, wholly beneficial for WWE. Because whether it was, necessary or not, Vince would come in, depending on what side of the bed he got up, and change huge amounts of plans. Like you say, Meltzer talks about little tweaks, but if you tweak something a little bit every single week, there are 52 weeks in the year. That's a lot of tweaking.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I think this is far more beneficial for WWE and their storylines going forward.
Well, for a while it felt like you were waking up every single week and hearing about Vince tearing up a script and changing things hours before hitting the airwave. I'm pretty sure we've covered several stories on these videos where we've been like, oh yeah, by the way, they were still making changes when Raw started.
Yeah, oh goodness.
Under Vince. So Vince, look, Vince's last 10 plus years, he was a trash booker. He was absolute garbage. You can account he's very beneficial. The Monopoly situation for years and years and years insulated him against this because he didn't really need to do any better because there was nowhere else for the fans to go. Now, however, Triple H is doing a genuinely very good job, and it shows in the TV ratings, which are up and nice. It shows in the ticket sales. I think WrestleMania is on 50k plus for both nights already. That is no mean feat. It shows in every single pay-per-view is breaking viewership records.
Yeah.
A part of that is down to Peacock. It's got 20 million subs or something like that, so more people will be like, oh, what's this wrestling thing? But you have to give credit to the booker. He's doing a good job.
Yeah, you feel like you can invest in things. I still remember during the pandemic, me and Hamlet would text each other just when they hadn't screwed up the Sasha and Bailey story, going, they've not script up the script and changed it this week. You can invest in long-term storylines and what have you. And I just think, it's... if anyone seems to think, well, the last 10 years, it's a bit harsh on Vince.
No.
A broken clock is right twice a day. And if I had the talent that Vince had access to, and just threw darts at a dartboard, they could probably throw something together.
Exactly. And there is a big difference between being a good booker and a good promoter. You can say that he was still very successful as a promoter in his latter years in the seat, but as a booker and a writer, for me and my taste, I thought he was complete garbage, and I'm not going to soften it up.
No.
You know what isn't complete garbage? Sami Zayn.
Yes.
This is good. So this is obviously one of the great triumphs of Triple H's reign as head of creative, is that the Bloodline storyline is still awesome, and it's peaking at just the right time. But a lot of, when you think Sami Zayn, right? There's a bunch of speculation at the moment. People doing fantasy bookings, and I think that's awesome. People have so much ideas, they're so inspired by it. People thinking, well, what happens? Does he just lose at Elimination Chamber, and does Cody just win the belt at Mania? Does Sami get in a triple threat somehow? Do they do both matches on both nights of Mania somehow? What's going to happen? Something that pops into a lot of people's heads is, well, they can't put the belt on Sami because they're going to Saudi Arabia the next month, and obviously Sami's Syrian heritage prevents him from appearing on those shows in Saudi Arabia. But that isn't going to factor into WWE's decision making. Dave Meltzer was on Twitter. Someone asked him about this yesterday. Frank Caramano on Twitter, asking about the Sami Saudi Arabia situation. Dave says, whatever decision has been made, this has nothing to do with it. Promise. So that's good to hear. That they don't necessarily go, oh, well, we can't if they decided that Sami winning was the right thing, to then be like, oh no, but we can't do it because of this, that's rubbish, because you want the full story. You don't want this backstage situation creeping into it. For me, I think it didn't necessarily matter. I think that you don't need the WWE title on those Saudi Arabian shows, because all they need to do is book legend X, Y, and Z, and the crowd is going to be super energized. I don't think Sami needed to be on them, but it's not going to be a factor.
Yeah, it's just a relief, like you say, to hear this, because you didn't want them to say, actually, that's the best story we can come up with, but technically we've got to go to Saudi, so
but here's
we're
some
going to do the second best decision. I still think, I'm not going to give my fantasy booking again, actually. Cody and
it's on a lot of content.
Yeah, we talked about it a lot, but I'm glad that this isn't factored into it. And like you say, just because that Sami is world champion, even if they didn't split the belts or whatever, if he held every single belt in the entire company, it's Saudi Arabia. It's a kind of weird one-off show thing. Just book team legend versus another team legend for some weird stick or whatever it may be, or just loads of mad stipulation matches, Hell in a Cell, Judy Bagwell on a forklift, whatever it may be. You could just do that instead, like you say, Andy. Yeah. So I'm just glad that it isn't going to factor into it. Switching gears now to AEW. What's going on with former AEW Women's World Champion Thunder Rosa? Well, she is still recovering from injury, and we wish her well in her recovery from that. And she announced some very exciting news on Twitter. You may have heard her being involved in the Spanish language broadcast team when they were in El Paso, Texas. Following on from that, as her recovery continues, that's going to keep happening. She tweeted, exciting news, AEW fans, while my recovery continues, I'll join AEW as a Spanish commentator and on-screen personality. I'm thrilled to be able to serve Spanish-speaking fans in this unique way. Health is a journey with ups and downs. There she is, friend of Simon Miller. Meanwhile, I'll see you from the booth.
There you go, referencing the gimmick.
I love that, and I'm really happy for her because I know we're not going to see her necessarily on our screens, but I'm glad to see her doing stuff because this injury's taken ages, and it must just suck to be sitting on the sidelines, but to be able to still get involved in stuff like this. She's lovely. I love her. Great news.
Yeah, you know what's going to suck even more is when she hears from our lawyers for using the phrase ups and downs.
Coming for you.
Which we definitely own. Jokes aside, obviously, yeah, cool role for her while she's recovering. Yeah. This injury sounds like it was a lot more complicated than we originally thought it would be. I'm glad that that she's got this position that she can do while she's away, keep her kind of involved without, being fully healed and all of that stuff, and hope to see her back in the ring soon because I think she's great.
Yeah, sometimes when your wrestler, your favorite wrestler, is missing from TV, maybe they're dealing with some stuff, and maybe you shouldn't just speculate on it on Twitter.
Yeah, it's often good to not be weird.
that's our thing to take from today. Yeah. Don't be weird, especially on social media.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, isn't there? There's a lot of that.
Right, let's move on to your questions, usually from Twitter at WhatCulture WWE, today from our YouTube community section, so make sure you subscribe and always check that out because, especially on Fridays, we're looking for the weirdest and wackiest questions.
That's when you can be weird, but a different kind. There's levels.
Yeah.
There's levels.
Jacob Mezzanetti, I'll tell you why this caught my eye, because Jacob writes, good morning, fellow Hooper Maniacs.
Oh, Hoop. There we go.
Do you think TK could pull off the all-out double pap again with Jay White and Kota Ibushi this
Very
year?
interesting. I feel like Jay White's going to show up somewhere before All Out. Although, I love the idea of the all-out double pop just becoming a thing.
Yeah.
After Cole and Danielson the other year, which was awesome.
Imagine getting Kota Ibushi and going, all right, but what else?
Yeah. Oh, it's Jay White too. That'd be cool. I think Jay White's going to pop up somewhere before then. My gut, and it is quite the gut, tells me that he's going to go to WWE. Yeah. I think that would suit him well, and it would be really interesting to see him in a completely different environment to the New Japan one. So I do think he's going to go there. Will we see Kota in AEW? That is complicated, isn't it? Because the split from New Japan got quite ugly and quite public. So I'd imagine there are complications with that working relationship potentially. Maybe there isn't. I don't know. Just trying to bring in all possibilities without saying for definite. So maybe there's something. Maybe there isn't. I hope there isn't because I want to see that man wrestle like a guy in a pelican costume.
Yes.
In a ring that's shaped like a duck.
Yeah, and do all the stuff. I'm not saying don't do AEW, but go and do all the other stuff as well as that. And you made a very good point before we start recording that all that's quite a way off.
Yeah, that's it, man. It's 6 months or 7 months or whatever.
Before then in AEW, please.
I want him before then.
I think Jay White, and maybe this is more hope than expectation, Andy, I want Jay White the Raw after WrestleMania. Because I want them to re-establish this under the Triple H regime as no, it's still a thing because it makes so much sense.
Yeah, make it a thing again, man.
You have this, the hardest of hardcore fans is in attendance then. Yes, there's always been issues following that of people being like, who's this guy? I didn't watch NXT. But if you want to introduce someone and have people be like, oh my God, it's them, do I want to watch WrestleMania?
Yeah.
And I know that's not really been the case for quite a few years, but I think that's may well be where we see Jay White next. I think Kota Ibushi will pop up in AEW eventually because of all of his connections there. But like you say, don't commit yourself just to that, Kota, because we want to see you.
I want to see him everywhere, man. I want to see him doing the weirdest, freakiest stuff and also the best matches. I want the combo. I want the giant panda matches in DDT, the blow-up doll, all that weird stuff, and I want a 5-star match with Kenny. Why not? Let's go.
I want to see him versus Simon Miller in WCPW.
I want to see
wrestling. A reunion show that's definitely happening.
I want to see the silly and the sublime in perfect harmony.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Can we book Blobby for that from Riot Cabaret Show?
Blobby went into business for himself in that Rumble, brother. He Mil Mascarised himself off the side of the ring. Blobby don't play. Disgusting.
Braxton Taylor gives us our second question of the day. Braxton writes, morning, gents. What is your dream Sting and Darby party match, and what does Sting jump off of?
What does Sting jump off of on a party? God, I have no idea.
I had an idea of, because he's jumped like that image of him flying through the air is burnt into my retinas, because I was just like, oh no, Sting can't go no more. And he's like, surprise, motherfucker.
Yeah, I'm half cooked. Here we go.
So I'm thinking, there's not a name for them, I don't think, but Jeff Jarrett's gang on top of each other. So I was going to say him jump just off Satnam Singh.
Yeah.
But what if he jumped off, well, you got Satnam Singh, then you got Sanjay Dutt, then you got Jeff Jarrett. Then arguably you could have Jeff Jarrett's guitar and Sting jumps off of that, basically. I don't know who he jumps onto because they're really fighting in that match, but...
Yeah.
Symphony of Destruction match, there you go.
There you go. What if we did like, I don't know, what kind of party would these guys throw on? I don't know. What
about a duh party? What if they have an Uno game and they jump off a big pile of Uno cards?
Does Darby Allin not live on a ranch in the middle of the country with like no internet and stuff?
That would make the most sense, yeah.
I don't know if that's true. I've heard that.
You need a big space for jumping over stuff, don't you?
So the answer is a cow then, isn't it? Bring back the cow. Where is it? Where's the content cow? Where'd he go?
What about
Where'd she go?
Jumping off Satnam Singh who's riding a cow? Is that really hench cow?
Oh, the ripped the cane cow with the cane mask. That one. Yeah, good.
I hate to break this to you, I think I might have been photoshopped somewhat.
There you go.
Just a thought.
Yeah, maybe fake.
Final question today.
Remember the giant alligator on the golf course though? Nothing fake about that, brother.
By the way, if you think that's a gimmick, I sent Andy Murray an alligator video just outside of work hours the other day, didn't I?
I love
Get it on Plano.
I love alligators, man. Any video of an alligator where human beings have tried to restrain it and they taped up its mouth and all that stuff.
Fools.
And it knocks them out. Amazing. Great. Don't play with the flatty.
Final question, Andy. Well, technically it's a question for the part of the end finally, but final question from our YouTube community page comes from Bob.
Is that Jake by any chance?
I don't know. Maybe it's his alter ego.
Bob.
Maybe more of a Friday question, this, but I saw it. I thought I have to ask this.
All right.
Do you think you could chug a gallon of milk?
No. No. I
think I could.
I've watched Jackass before, brother.
But then, I've seen what happens.
How much is a gallon in liters is the question.
That's a good point.
Because we are freaks. Let me find out. A gallon. I haven't even started.
So are you going semi-skimmed? Skimmed milk sucks.
Skimmed milk is for losers. Oh my god, it's 4.5 liters.
Jesus Christ. Right,
easy peeps, man.
Yes, but you didn't specify how long.
Yeah.
Me on the news 3 days later.
Yeah, I could do it in 3 days, like a slow chug, like a drip. No, I couldn't do that, my friend. That would make me sick.
If you're doing one of those major challenges, what are you doing? Because I can't do any of them.
No, I
can't
do
do
that.
Spicy food. I can't do big food. I can't do desserts.
I hate that crap. Listen, I say I hate that crap. I hate participating in that crap.
Oh, yeah.
I love hot ones and stuff on YouTube. I would not do any of them. I would it. I said the Ice Bucket Challenge even a few years ago. I was like, if you nominate me, my friends, I will 100% donate to the cause and I will spread word to donate to the cause, but I'm not doing the Ice Bucket itself. So that's what happened. About 3 or 4 of my friends nominated me and they were all really upset that I didn't do the video. And I was like, I told you this beforehand. However, I've done the donations. So that's me. I'm not doing the challenge.
I did a bucket of relatively warm water with one ice cube in it and then just shoot it properly.
You just got in the shower and dropped an ice cube on your head. Perfect.
Gotcha.
Perfect.
Let's move on to today's and finally, and it involves a question. Andy, where is the weirdest place you've watched wrestling? Now, you don't have to be in attendance for it, but you do have to watch it. So you watch it on your phone, you watch it on your computer. Sometimes I like to set up my computer and have a nice long soak in the bath and watch 2 out of 3 falls match, Adam Cole versus Johnny Gargano, take over New York. But what about you? Where's the weirdest place you
Florida.
Well, I think Brian Cage might have us both beat because inexplicably, do you know where he's watched wrestling? On his fridge. Because he very casually tweeted the other day. Let me read this from Brian. He tweeted, tonight was a memorable night, the night my daughter was watching wrestling on the fridge and looked back at me and asked, can I do that when I grow up? So, that's lovely. Brian Cage, brilliant wrestler, daughter, inspired, wants to wrestle. Don't brush over the fact you said I was watching wrestling on the fridge. He subsequently has followed that up and shown that, yes, he can watch wrestling on his fridge.
Wow, good stuff.
Do I want him to send us photos? Maybe just tell us for the time being where the weirdest place is you watch wrestling.
Photos. That opens the door to hell.
If you want to send photos, you know where we are on Twitter.
No, you know where he is. I don't want to go to the Upside Down. Wow, a TV that's also a fridge. I want my oven to be a TV. You open it up, checking on the chicken, who's pinned who in the Royal Rumble. No one's pinned anyone in the Royal Rumble unless it's Randy Savage.
Exactly.
But, you
fool Randy.
Silly Randy.
But yeah, send us.
It's probably silly Randy.
Send us your weird places you watch wrestling with photos if you want. At WhatCulture WWE, at Adam Wilmore if you want to send them personally to me.
By the way, I actually really like Florida, but it is a weird place.
It is a weird old place. You can follow Andy Murray on Twitter at
Andy H Murray. The H stands for Hoop 22 Children.
But wait a second, Andy. The news the other day was Hoop 20. Where's Hoop 21?
Job Street. Where is it?
I know where it is.
My brain is.
There's going to be a video coming out soon. And that's the game, kids. You have to go and find it.
Nightmares that could come true. 5 p.m. today.
Is it today?
That's when you'll find it.
It is a very important, serious. As I've said before, Andy and I always call ourselves wrestling journalists. This is one of the most serious pieces of wrestling journalism we've ever done. It's fun. Go and check it out.
Do you see the grimace bit?
Like, share, subscribe. Subscribe to
that doesn't pull people in.
Oh, I don't know what will. Subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling wherever you get your podcasts from for daily wrestling podcasts. We are going to be reviewing later on today the show formerly known, of course, Andy, as NXT 2.0. Yeah! You can also check out our Dynamite preview a little bit later on today.
Oh God, we just fixed these chairs. Wow.
Right, it's been the news. Thanks, Andy. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you soon.
Bye.